All right, we're going to break down some of my free agent targets for the Dallas Cowboys. Before we do that, though, I want to hear from you guys. Head down to the comments section and drop a name who you want the Cowboys to sign in free agency. Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by the Fetch Rewards app. Earn points by scanning any receipt from any store or restaurant, and then you can redeem those points for gift cards. Chatsports.com/fetch is the URL. Use promo code Cowboys when creating your account to get 3,000 bonus points. Now, we know about the Cowboys. They don't like spending big in free agency. They want to shop and win the deal. So keep that in mind as we go through this list. The Cowboys have needs, though, including their own free agents. Looking at safety, interior offensive line, linebacker, wide receiver and tight end, defensive line, and edge. And because this is free agency, we're going to start with safeties because producer Jeremy does not have the power to tell me no on this front. 3 of your top 4 guys are free agents. This is your number one need before you are able to start re-signing guys. Jaron Kearse, DeMonte Kyzir, Malik Hooker. This would be a nice year for the Cowboys to explore adding a safety. Now, before we get into my real candidates list, I want to start off with the guys that we should not even remotely get our hopes up for. That is Marcus Williams out of from the Saints, Jesse Bates from the Cincinnati Bengals, Tyrann Mathieu from the Kansas City Chiefs, and Quandre Diggs from the Seahawks. Yes, I would love to get one of those impact guys. I don't foresee Catboy Stephen Jones paying big. So instead, let's look at other players who could fit that mold. How about Marcus Maye? Was going to be on that list. Then he tore his Achilles. Had the off-the-field stuff with New York. So from a contract perspective, it gets a little bit more feasible. I think he'd be a great scheme fit. Jabrill Peppers, also on this list. Our common theme here early among safeties, injured guys. Peppers has not lived up to expectations for the Browns and the Giants. Maybe that changes in Dallas. DeSean Elliott, the Texas kid, talented football player, never healthy. If the Cowboys aren't going to spend big at safety, which I don't think they're going to, adding an injured guy like they did with DeMonte Kyzir and Malik Hooker does make some sense. Jordan Whitehead, who I liked quite a bit coming out of Pitt, had a pretty good year for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't think he'll be that expensive. And the safety market's so weird, I could see him doing like maybe a 1-year, $5 million deal. Ronnie Harrison may or may not have drawn some trade interest from Dallas years ago. Was good enough for the Browns. I don't think he's any worse than DeMonte Kyzir. So if the money's similar, I don't have interest in Harrison. So is this the year that the Cowboys invest big via draft or free agency at the safety position? Type in F for finally, yes it is, or type in S for stop. Stop it, Tom. It's not going to happen. Let's look now at the defensive end position, because there are some big names I want to mention, right? Maybe DeMarcus Lawrence is back, maybe not. Randy Gregory's a free agent. Dorrance Armstrong's a free agent. First, the names you're probably not going to pay for. I love Harold Landry. He might command $20 million. Chandler Jones wants the bag. Hassan Reddick is going to cash in. Jadeveon Clowney is on like the upper echelon of, well, maybe they could afford it, but after a 9-sack year having no interest previously, not going to get my hopes up there. The big name, who I know many of you want, so I felt inclined to include him, is Von Miller. Money will be an issue. Not by the Cowboys' necessity, but by choice, because they don't like paying outside guys. But he's a Dallas kid. You'd love to bring him in. I think there were some false reports of Dallas having trade interest in Von Miller. Look, I would love to do it. I'd be all for it. I don't know if the Cowboys will consider Von Miller in their price range. Maybe they'll call. Hopefully this time they aren't out on vacation during free agency. The Joneses aren't, at least. So as it relates to Von Miller, and I want honest answers on this one, guys. What's the % chance that you think Von Miller signs with the Dallas Cowboys? Let me know in the comments. Emmanuel Ogbah, I think might price himself out of the market, but we know the Cowboys liked him coming out of Oklahoma State. So this one, again, might be too expensive, but if you're not paying Randy Gregory, maybe Ogbah fits a similar price tier, if not a little bit higher. Dark horse name here is Charles Harris, who has ties to Dan Quinn from their time together in Atlanta. He was a bust. And then he goes to Detroit, has 7.5 sacks, 10 TFLs. Maybe that is just a flash in the pan. If it's not, though, it could actually make some sense for the Dallas Cowboys to explore adding somebody like Charles Harris. So I'm very curious to see which route they go at edge. They probably want to retain Randy Gregory, but if Tank Lawrence leaves and or Gregory leaves, edge does become a big need for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, off-topic question, kind of, sort of. Do you guys shop on Amazon? I would assume the answer is yes, because they're so easy to use. Let me know in the comments. Y for yes you do, N for no you do not. If you do shop with Amazon, you should download the Fetch Rewards app. You can get bonus rewards by linking your Amazon account to the app. Download it today, chatsports.com/fetch. Normally you scan your receipts, right, to get the points if you're already using it or haven't used it yet. You can also link your Amazon account, and whatever you buy, it'll get you points every time you pull up the app for stuff you buy on Amazon, and that is the best way to rack up those points, especially if you use Amazon pretty frequently. So go get 3,000 bonus points with promo code COWBOYS at chatsports.com/fetch. The app scans all your receipts, gives you points for them. You can then redeem for gift cards, both your printed receipts and the ones you get sent from Amazon or to your email. So download the app today. Chatsports.com/fetch. Promo code Cowboys for 3,000 bonus points. Let's talk linebackers. Of all the positions, I wonder if this one might be the area they feel most comfortable investing in, given who is a free agent out there. LVE Keanu Neal, not great this year. LVE did play better down the stretch, so I'm excited to see what happens. One name that I think makes a lot of sense for Dallas because your DC stuck around is Foyesade Oluokun, the linebacker out of Atlanta. A bit undersized. They've been a problem for Dan Quinn. Lots of tackles. Now, tackles are not a great way to evaluate a player. Might mean they're getting beat in coverage. That was the case for Oluokun this past year. Not great in coverage, but we know what he can do, and he was at his best under Dan Quinn. If the price is right, this is a good name to keep an eye out for if LVE and Keanu Neal end up leaving. Similar-ish style, almost identical height, weights, is Kyzir White out of West Virginia, most recently with the LA Chargers. Similar-ish production. I thought he played pretty well this year. He's not for everyone at his kind of safety linebacker hybrid size. Dan Quinn likes speed at the linebacker spot. White could be a really good fit. More familiar names for Mr. Quinn. How about KJ Wright? Wasn't really in play for Dallas at the beginning of the year because you had Jalen Smith still. You had LVE, you had Micah Parsons, Jabrill Cox. Well, maybe not so much now with potentially all but two of those names gone from the Cowboys. Wright, the age has begun to impact him, but as a linebacker 3 or 4 on the cheap, that makes sense. All right, Rashaan Evans now. If you want to swap out one first-round pick for another, maybe Evans out of Alabama. 57 tackles, 3 TFLs, has not been great for Tennessee. This falls in what I call the Will McClay special. Former early round-ish guy gets a second chance in Dallas, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they do not. I think a linebacker, though, is the area to watch in free agency. So with free agency, so much of this comes down to Stephen Jones. We misspelled that, my bad. Confidence level in Catboy, as we call him, Stephen Jones. Scale it for me, 1 to 100. 1 being you've got next to no confidence, 100 being you think he is the guy to make things right again in Dallas. Let's go to receiver, because 4 of your top 6 guys are free agents. Even if you cut Amari Cooper, don't get your hopes up for these guys. Devontae Adams might command $30 million. Chris Godwin, too expensive. Allen Robinson, probably too expensive. Mike Williams, too expensive. Odell Beckham, he probably wants to stick in L.A. and would be too expensive. Even if you cut Amari Cooper, I think the Cowboys would rather focus on re-signing somebody like Michael Gallup and Cedric Wilson with that money. If you keep Cooper, well, then you're not going to spend big on free agency outside of maybe keeping some of your own guys. So with that in mind, some cheaper names to keep an eye out for. How about veteran Emmanuel Sanders? He is aging, but he's still pretty darn productive and good when he is out there. If you want a good route runner, Sanders fits that mold. Maybe you want speed, though. How about noted Cowboy killer DeSean Jackson? You want someone who can still take top off the defense? D-Jax is your guy. Your concern, of course, is that he might get mad about his targets and demand his release like he did from the Rams, who are now in the Super Bowl. Oops. And then one more name who I don't like him that much, but the Cowboys, way back when, once tried to get Sammy Watkins, and they lost out on that bidding war to the Chiefs. It was the one big splash move they tried to make and failed. He's going to be way cheaper. Also, not that good at this point. So when it comes to the receiver position, how should the Cowboys handle the wide receiver spot? Type in R for you want to re-sign your guys, Wilson and Gallup, and you want to keep Cooper and Malik Turner and maybe Noah Brown. Type in F for you want to address it via free agency, or D for you just want to draft somebody. Let me know in the comments. If you guys want free Cowboys videos all day, every day, right here, 365 and a quarter on the Cowboys Report, hit that big red button and subscribe. It's youtube.com/CowboysTV. Let's go to tight end, where I think they might look draft, but there are some names I kind of like at the position. Dalton Schultz is a free agent. I would expect him to, if he wants to, command Austin Hooper $10+ million per year on the open market. So some cheaper options. How about David Njoku, who I don't know if the Browns will be able to keep him. I think in a full-time role, he could put up double that production, which is not that different than Dalton Schultz, and I think brings you a little bit more explosiveness on the outside. O.J. Howard is next up here. This is my buy low guy. I loved Howard in Alabama. He has been relegated to tight end 2/3 behind starting caliber guys in Gronk and Cameron Brate. So if he wants out of Tampa, I would happily add O.J. Howard. Howard and Jarwin plus maybe a draft pick, I feel great about that room. And if you want to bring back a Cowboys legend, how about Jeff Swaim? He's still playing. That's right, guys. He's still playing, and he can block for you. He'd be cheap. I mean, why not? You're looking at cheap guys. Jeff says no. He can block. He's better than Jeremy Sprinkle. Don't tell you there. So if you want a cheap tight end 3, this is a name that actually does make some sense. What do you think is the Cowboys' single biggest need? Is it safety, linebacker, offensive line in general? Let me know in the comments section. Let's go now to the offensive line. This is a tough one for me because I don't think you're going to spend big at your areas of need. If you're moving on from Lyle Collins, you're going to keep Terrence Steele at right tackle. Even if you move on from Tyron Smith, you're not going to pay big money at left tackle, I don't believe. So the big names of Brandon Scherf and even more injured Teron Armstead and Orlando Brown's probably going to get franchise tagged, and Ryan Jensen, Alex Kappa, those guys are probably going to price themselves out of your range. It's fun to discuss it. I think Dallas, though, will look towards the draft right now. But two names, interior O-line focused, I wanted to mention. Andrew Norwell is not the guy he was in his prime, but as a veteran option, I think he could help you out on the offensive line. And the name that intrigues me the most might be Ted Karras. Starter at left guard, center, right guard over his NFL career, would give you insurance at either left guard or center if you don't get the draft pick that you want. So of your affordable offensive line options, this is one I like. I don't love the free agent centers, but I do like the idea of adding somebody like Ted Karras, a lesser-known name, to help provide stability as opposed to just giving the job to Tyler Biadasz and then going, oh no, we didn't like that idea. All right, defensive tackle now. As you can tell, by the way, the asterisk means free agent, so Carlos Watkins, Brent Urban are your FAs. I am still not out on fatties only. I would love to find a big run stopper up the middle. So, some names. How about Florenzo Fatukasi, a.k.a. Foley Fatukasi? Not his best year with the Jets this past season, but he fits the mold of a quality run stopper and should not be that expensive. If you lose Watkins and or Urban, I would have interest in this name. I would also like DJ Jones, who I think playing for a better team and having a really good year with 10 TFLs, by the way, probably ends up being a little bit too expensive for you, but a good name to monitor. Jaron Reed of the Cowboys allegedly had interest in last year. Coming off a not great year, he didn't play that well for KC, but he can stop the run. A good name to watch. And veteran Akeem Hicks, so the Cowboys can continue the defensive lineman from Canada pipeline. Hicks intrigues me. He's not what he was in his prime, but big boy, can stop the run. And the name always linked when he's a free agent, Ndamukong Suh. The heavy hitter is still producing at a pretty good rate. He's not peak Suh anymore, but on a 2-year, $13, $14 million deal, I think that would be doable-ish for Dallas, maybe a bit on the high end, but you could make it work if you wanted to. So, will Catboys spend big money? Probably not, but those are some names to at least consider if you are the Dallas Cowboys.